Welcome all of you. This is your first class in August, I suppose. And as you can see, we are in the classroom actually. So we have come back to the school. But it's going to take time for you people to come. Only that you people are missing over here. Okay. Yes, Archie Sairam. Promisha, we were doing the Tata Edge grammar, no? Last time?
Ma'am, we were reading the chapter.
Okay.
Chapter 5.
Chapter 5, the supplementary one, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times did we do the reading?
Only one time.
Only one time. Today we'll have it for the second time, and then I will also will read the summary of the chapter. And I found a very good video about it. That also, if time permits, we will do. Children are still joining in. Isn't it? It's not yet 2:30.
Ma'am, still 1 minute is left.
Ma'am, 1 minute is left.
Even in your, yes, there is 1 minute left. Yes. Okay, then we can wait for 1 or 2 minutes more. There's 20 minutes of gap no, in your periods. So I think you can come around 2:25. We'll have a brief chat and then we can begin the chapter. So for the presentation, so we shall continue with the 5th chapter. The Happy Prince, isn't it? It's a very long chapter, but just because we did it last time, we'll have a reading of it, quick reading of it once again, okay? So who would like to initiate? Romisha, can you start?
Yes, ma'am. And can I start?
Yes, beta, start.
The Happy Prince was a beautiful statue. He was covered with gold. He had sapphires for eyes and a ruby in his sword. Why did he want to part with all the gold that he had and his precious stones? High above the city, on a tall column, stood the statue of the Happy Prince. He was gilded all over with thin layers of fine gold. For eyes, he had two bright sapphires and a large red ruby glowed in his sword hilt. One night there flew over the city a little sparrow. His friends had gone
Ma'am?
away.
Yes, beta.
Ma'am, her voice is not clear.
बेटा आपके में हो सकता है कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रोमिशा कैन यू सी योर ऑडियो सिस्टम फॉर मी इट्स क्वाइट क्लियर just check it otherwise I have to tell someone else to read it.
Ma'am, it's all right.
A little more nearer probably.
Yes, ma'am.
Try once again from this one night.
One night there flew over the city a little swallow. His friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before, but he had stayed behind. Then he decided to go to Egypt too. All day long he flew, and at night time he arrived at the city. Where shall I put up? He said. I hope the town has made preparations. Then he saw the statue on the tall column. I will put up there, he cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted just between the feet of the Happy Prince. I have a golden bedroom, he said, softly to himself as he looked around and he prepared to go to sleep. But just as he was putting his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. What a curious thing, he cried. There is not a single cloud in the sky. The stars are quite clear and bright, and yet it is raining. Then another drop fell. What is the use of a statue if it cannot keep the rain off? He said. I must look for a good spot. And he determined to fly up. But before he had opened his wings, a third drop fell, and he looked up and saw. Oh, what did he see? The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears, and tears were running down his golden cheeks. His face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity. Who are you? He said. I am the happy prince. Why are you weeping then? Asked the swallow. You have quite drenched me. When I was alive and had a human heart, answered the statue, I did not know what tears were, for I lived in the palace, where sorrow is not allowed to enter. My courtiers called me the happy prince, and happy indeed I was. So I lived, and so I died. And now that I am dead, they have set me up here so high that I can see the ugliness and all the misery of my city. And though my heart is made of lead, yet I cannot choose but weep. What? Is he not solid gold? Said the swallow to himself. He was too polite to make any personal remarks. Far away, continued the statue in a low musical voice. Far away in a little street, there is a poor house. One of the windows is open, and through it I can see a woman seated at a table. Her face is thin and worn, and she has four red hands, all pricked by the needle, for she is a seamstress. She is embroidering flowers on a satin gown for the loveliest of the queen's maids of honor to wear at the next court ball. In a bed in the corner of the room, a little boy is lying ill. He has a fever and is asking his mother to give him oranges. His mother has nothing to give him but river water, so he is crying. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, will you not bring her the ruby out of my sword hilt? My feet are fastened to this pedestal and I cannot move. I
Okay, now,
am waiting.
okay, one second, beta. Only this page you read, and then I'll change the student. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I am waited for in Egypt, said the swallow.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am,
beta.
can you please off your mic because there is a sound problem?
From my side.
Yes, ma'am.
Then how will you listen? Wait one second,
Ma'am,
I'll try. Okay.
I am waited for in Egypt, said the swallow. My friends are flying up and down the Nile and talking to the large lotus flowers. Soon they will go to sleep. The prince asked the swallow to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. The boy is so thirsty and the mother so sad, he said. I don't think I like boys, answered the swallow. I want to go to Egypt. But the happy prince looked so sad that the little swallow was sorry. It is very cold here, he said, but he agreed to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. Thank you, little swallow, said the prince. The swallow picked out the great ruby from the prince's sword and flew away with it in his beak over the roofs of the town. He passed by the cathedral tower, where the white marble angels were sculptured. He passed by the palace and heard the sound of dancing. A beautiful girl came out on the balcony with her lover. I hope my dress will be ready in time for the state ball, she said. I have ordered flowers to be embroidered on it, but the seamstresses are so lazy. He passed over the river and saw the lanterns hanging on the mast of the ship. At last, he came to the poor woman's house and looked in. The boy was tossing feverishly on his bed, and the mother had fallen asleep. She was so tired. In he hopped and laid the great ruby on the table beside the woman's thimble. Then he flew gently round the bed, fanning the boy's forehead with his wings. "How cool I feel," said the boy. "I must be getting better." And he sank into a delicious slumber. Then the swallow flew back to the happy prince and told him what he had done. It is curious," he remarked, "but I feel quite warm now, although it is so cold." "That is because you have done a good action," said the prince, and the little swallow began to think and then fall asleep. Thinking always made him sleepy. When the day broke, he flew down to the river and had a bath. "Tonight I go to Egypt," said the swallow, and he was in high spirits at the prospect. He visited all the monuments and sat a long time on the top of church steeple. When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. "Have
Yes,
you?"
yeah, Ramisha. Yes, thank you, Vita. You read very well.
Thank you,
I'll
ma'am.
just take the attendance. Just 1 second. Is Unnati there? Unnati? Sayuja, are you there? Navya,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
just come. Navya, you come so late. I'm going to keep a track of the children who are just sitting on the online class and not attending it actually. Seriously, yeah, it will have a huge problem in the end of the session. And Archie, फर्क था क्या मेरे mic off करने से? Tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, there was disturbance from my end.
Ma'am, actually the sound echo was there.
Sound, what sound?
Ma'am,
Some echo.
echo.
Some echo was there, and when I closed it, then that echo wasn't there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. I'll get it checked then. Um, any one of the boys, Sayuja, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now you can continue the reading of the chapter.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, from here. When the moon.
When the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. "Have you any commissions for Egypt?" he cried. "I'm just starting." "Swallow, swallow, little swallow," said the prince. "Will you stay with me one night longer? I am waited for in Egypt," asked the swallow. "Swallow, swallow, little swallow," said the prince. "Far away across the city, I see a young man in a garret. He is leaning over a desk covered with papers, and in the glass
Ma'am,
by
ma'am,
Uh,
will you please again off
okay,
your
okay,
mic?
okay, okay.
and in the glass by his side there is a bunch of withered violets. His hair is brown and crisp, and his lips are red as pomegranate, and he has a large and dreamy eyes. He is trying to finish a play for a director of the theatre, but he is too cold to write any more. There is no fire in the garret, and hunger has made him faint. "I will wait with you one night longer," said the swallow, who really had a good heart. He asked if he should take any ruby to the young playwright. "Alas, I have no ruby now," said the prince. "My eyes are all that I have left. They are made of rare sapphires, which were brought of the India 1,000 years ago." He ordered the swallow to pluck out one of them and take it to the playwright. He will sell it to the jeweler and buy firewood and finish his play. He said, Dear prince, said the swallow, I can't do that. And he began to weep. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, do as I command you. So the swallow plucked out the prince's eyes and flew away to the young man's garret. It was easy enough to get in, and there was a hole in the roof. Through this he darted and came into the room. The young man had his head buried in his hands, so he did not hear the flutter of the bird's wings. And when he looked up, he found the beautiful sapphire lying on his withered violets. I am beginning to be appreciated, he said. He cried. This is from some great admirer. Now I can finish my play. And he looked quite happy. The next day, the swallow flew down to the harbor. He sat on the mast of the large vessel and watched the sailor working. I am going to Egypt, cried the swallow. But nobody minded, and when the moon rose, he flew back to the happy prince. I have come to bid you good-bye, he said. He cried. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince. Will you not stay with me one night longer? It is winter, he asked Swallow, and the snow will soon be here. In Egypt, the sun is warm, and the green palm trees and the crocodiles lie in the mud and look lazy about them. In the square below, said the happy prince, there stands a little match girl. She has let her matches fall in the gutter, and they are all spoiled. Her father will beat her if she does not bring home some money, and she is crying. She has no shoes or stockings, and her little head is bare. Pluck out one of my other eye and give it to her, and her father will not beat her. I will stay with you one night longer, said the swallow. But I cannot pluck out your eye. You would be quite blind then. Swallow, swallow, little swallow, said the prince, do as I command you. So he plucked out the prince's other eye and darted down with it. He swooped past the match girl and slipped the jewel into the palm of her hand. What a lovely bit of glass! Cried the little girl, and she ran home laughing. Then the swallow came back to the prince. You are blind now, he said, so I will stay with you always. No, little swallow, said the poor prince. You must go away to Egypt. But I will stay with you. No, sorry. No, I will stay with you always, said the swallow, and he slept at the prince's feet. All the next day he sat on the prince's shoulders and told him stories of what he had seen in strange lands. Things about oh, dear swallow, said the prince, you tell me of marvelous things, but more marvelous than anything is the suffering of men and women. There is no mystery so great as misery. Fly over my city, little swallow, and tell me what you see there. So the swallow flew over the great city and saw the rich making merry in their beautiful houses, while the beggars were sitting at the gates. He flew into the dark lanes and saw the white faces of starving children looking out listlessly at the black streets. Under the archway of a bridge, two little boys were lying in each other's arms to try and keep themselves warm. How hungry we are, they said. You must not lie here, shouted the watchman, and they wandered out into the rain. Then he flew back and told the prince what he had seen. I am covered with gold, fine gold, said the prince. You must take it off, leaf by leaf, and give it to the poor. The living always think that gold can make them happy. Leaf after leaf of the fine gold the swallow picked off till the prince looked quite dull and grey. Leaf after leaf of the fine gold he brought to the poor, and the children's face grew rosier and they laughed and played in the street. We have bread now, they cried. Then the snow came, and after the snow came the frost. The streets looked as if they were made of silver. Everybody went about in furs, and the little boys wore scarlet caps and skated on the ice. The poor little swallow grew colder and colder, but he would not leave the prince. He loved him too well. He picked up crumbs outside the baker's door when the baker was not looking, and tried to keep himself warm by flapping his wings. But at last he knew that he was going to die. He had just enough strength to fly up to the king's shoulders once more. "Goodbye, dear prince," he murmured. "But you will let me kiss your hand? I am glad that you are going to Egypt at last." "Little swallow," said the prince, "you have stayed too long, but you must kiss me on the lips, for I love you." "It is not the Egypt that I am going," said the swallow. "I am going to the house of death." "Death is the brother of sleep, is he not?" And he kissed the happy prince on the lips and fell down dead at his feet. At that moment a curious crack sounded inside the statue, and as if something had broken. The fact is that the leaden heart had snapped right in two. It certainly had a dreadful hard frost. Below, early in the morning, the mayor was walking in the square below in the company with the two councillors. As he passed the column, he looked at the statue. "Dear me, how shabby the little prince looks," he said. "How shabby indeed," said the two councillors, who always agreed with the mayor, and they went up to look at it. "The ruby has fallen out of his sword, and his eyes are gone, and he is golden no longer," said the mayor. "In fact, he is little better than a beggar." Better than a beggar," said the two councillors. And
Sayuja,
here, yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
thank you, Vijay. You read very well, and I think you were actually into the chapter. The pronunciation also was very clear. Thank you. Now I would
Thank you,
call
ma'am.
upon Rishabh, and that's for Sayuja. Okay, Rishabh, are you there? Prakhar, see, children are just coming for the attendance, and I'm noting down the names. Yes, mic problem. Wow, nice, Rishabh. मैंने अभी तक तुम्हारी आवाज नहीं सुनी 4 महीने से. 4 महीने में तुमने ठीक नहीं कराया अपना माइक, ऋषभ. I have heard your voice in the chatting many times. Where is Prakhar? Even he has got a mic problem. Prakhar is not there. Okay. Raghav, Unnati.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Unnati is there. So you can continue reading from here. Little better from here.
Little better than a beggar, said the town councillors,
One second.
and
One second.
ma'am, now I start.
Unnati, you can start. I have to mute my mic. Okay?
Yes, ma'am. Little better than a beggar, said the town councillors, and here is actually a dead bird at his feet, continued the mayor. We must really issue a proclamation that words are not. Ma'am, please scroll that I didn't have the book. To be allowed to die here, and the town clerk made a note of the suggestions. So they pulled down the statue of the happy prince, as he is no longer beautiful, he is no longer useful, said the art professor of the university. Then they melted the statue in a furnace. What a strange thing, said the overseer of the workmen of the foundry. This broken lead heart will not melt in the furnace. We must throw it away. So they threw it on the dust heap where the dead swallow was also lying. Bring me the two most precious things in the city, said God, to one of his angels. And the angel bowed him the leaden heart and the dead bird. You have rightly chosen, said God, for in my garden of paradise this little bird shall sing forevermore, and in my city of gold the happy prince shall praise me.
Oscar Wilde. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Unnati. Next time I'll give you more pages to read. Okay. So once again, we'll discuss the question answers. Unnati, can you do the reading of this summary? Unnati,
Yes, ma'am.
just do the reading of the summary.
Okay, ma'am. Once in a town there lived a prince. He was called the Happy Prince because he had been happy all his life. After his death, his statue was erected on a tall
Pedestrian.
pedestal
Pedestrian.
pedestal in the middle of the town. The statue was covered with gold and had two precious sap- uh,
Sapphire.
sapphire stones embedded in the eyes. A ruby stone had been fitted into the handle of his sword. From there, he could see all around the place and realized that the people lived in a lot of poverty and misery. This
Sight. This sight saddened.
saddened the prince, and being helpless, he would weep to see the plight of his people. One day, a swallow bird was flying through the city, through the city on its way to Egypt to meet its friends. On the way, it took for the night at for a shelter. It took shelter for the night at the feet of the statue of the Happy Prince. The bird realized that the statue was weeping, and upon inquiry realized that the statue realized that
Light.
prince. The helpless prince requested the bird to help it by becoming its messenger. After initial refusal, the bird agreed and took the ruby stone out of the sword and hilt and delivered it to a poor seamstress. The next morning, as he went to bid goodbye, the statue convinced him to stay back for one more day. That day, the bird was asked to remove a sapphire stone from one of the statue's eyes and deliver it to a young playwright. Also, one of the third day, the bird had to pull out the second sapphire stone for a poor match girl. By this time, the weather had become cold and the bird had developed on
And attachment. Attachment.
attachment with the statue. The bird did not want to leave the statue, which had now become blind. The happy prince asked the bird to go around the city and inform him the condition of the people living there. The bird told him that the rich were making merry while the poor lived in misery. As the happy prince did not have any more precious stones, he ordered the bird to remove the gold foils from his body and distribute among the living who needed money for survival. Gradually, the statue of the happy of the prince lost, lost its covering of gold and became dull and grey. On the other hand, the poor became joyous as they got bread to eat. The swallow world was now unable to withstand the cold weather and realized that death was approaching. It informed the statue that it had to leave, and the statue, who loved the bird, asked it to kiss him. As the bird died and fell at the statue's feet, a strange sound came out of the statue, the sound of breaking of its heart. Although the statue's heart was made of lead, it broke as it was over. And what is written here?
Uh, Pernance, where are you?
Ma'am, it broke as it was.
Broke as it was overwhelmed. Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed with affection towards the bird. When the statue was melted in the furnace, the heart did not melt as was thrown in the garbage. It landed near Swallow's word. God's angels took both the dead swallow and the broken heart to him as they were the most precious things on land.
Okay, thank you, Nati. You did a lot of reading. Thank you. Okay, now we shall go with the first question. Yes, Damini, do you want to start with the first question?
Yes, ma'am.
You know the answer also, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you tell your answer, then you will read this answer also, what is given over here. Okay, start
Yes,
reading.
ma'am. Why do the courtiers call the prince the happy prince? Is he really happy? What does he see all around him? The courtiers called the prince happy prince because he was always happy. When he was alive, he did not know what tears were, for he lived in a palace where sorrow was not allowed to enter. However, when he died and was made into a statue, he was not happy, and tears flowed down his eyes on seeing the statue of his state of city. He, he could see all the misery and ugliness of the city around him.
Yes, and you can mention that inside that sculpture, when he was dead and when he was inside that sculpture, he could see the ugliness and the misery of the present city. Okay, yes, now read this also.
He was a prince when he was alive. Being a prince, he never knew sorrow and suffering. So the courtiers called him the happy prince. But he was not happy in real sense, as his heart could feel the misery of needy people. He saw the miserable conditions of people around him.
Okay, thank you, Damini. You want to try the second one also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Why does the happy prince send a ruby for the seamstress? What does the swallow do in the seamstress' house? The happy prince sent a ruby for the seamstress as she saw extremely poor and could not feed her child who was suffering from fever. The swallow, on being persuaded by the prince, went to the seamstress' house. She had fallen asleep, so the swallow kept the ruby on the table where the woman worked. He then flew round the bed, fanning the boy's forehead with his wings. This made the boy feel relaxed and he went to sleep.
Okay, good. Your answers was good, and read this also. We'll have another version.
The seamstress was tired due to overwork. She was so poor that she could not buy oranges for her little sick son. Her son was thirsty. The happy prince saw the poor lady and her son. He felt pity for them, so he sent a ruby for her. The swallow came to the poor woman's house and laid the ruby on table beside her. The bird fanned the boy's forehead with wings and flew back to the happy prince.
Oh, good. Yes, now I would like to change. Thank you, Damini. Who would read the third question? Pushkar, do you want to try? Karthik, Pushkar, anyone? Boys, where are you? गायब हो जाते हो? Harish, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Prakhar has finally arrived. Prakhar answers निकाले? Prakhar Srivastav. Prakhar, again you're not there. सिर्फ attendance लगा दे. Yes, Pranav Prakash. Okay, Pranav, you can answer. Yes, this
Ma'am,
is
question
the
number 3.
3.
Ma'am, the playwright was very poor. He was incapable of buying food and firewood. The prince sent the supplier for the playwright so that he could finish a play for the director of the theatre in time. The princess sent his second supplier to a poor match girl. Her matches had fallen into the gutter. She was afraid that her father would beat her for this loss. So she was helped by the prince by sending her the second sapphire.
And who is the other person who is speaking in between?
It was the echo coming.
Okay, it's the ego. I'll get this checked actually. We're supposed to take the class from different classes. I mean, when I'm teaching 9th B, I will be using this PC. And for some other class, I'll be using that class PC. So every time I have to use a different one. The previous class I took for 6th B, that was very clear. The audio and the video both. I didn't have any echo problem. Anyway, we'll sort it out. Thank you, Pranav. Do you want to try the fourth one, Pranav? Is
For the
Pranav-
May I?
The 12 small categories of people. He found the rich making merry in their beautiful houses and beggars begging sitting at the gates. He also saw a group of roaming children who were poverty stricken.
Okay, and just read this answer also.
The playwright was very poor. He was incapable of buying food and firewood. The prince sent the sapphires for the playwright so that he could finish a play for the director of the theater in time. The prince sent his second sapphire to a poor match girl. Her matches had fallen into the gutter. She was afraid that her father would beat her for this loss. So she was helped by the prince by sending her the second sapphire.
Okay, thank you. Now these two answers over. Okay, thank you, Pranav. Now who would, Srishti, do you want to try the fifth one?
Ma'am, may I?
Who is that? Archie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, whose house this voice is coming? Please check. Okay, yes, Archie, start the fifth.
Yes, ma'am. Why did the swallow not leave the prince and go to Egypt? Answer: the prince had become blind as he had made the swallow deliver the sapphire from his eyes to the needy.
Archie, अच्छे से check करो.
Yes, ma'am.
थोड़ा सा mic. 1 second, I'll just
Yes.
mute my mic.
Ma'am, may I start?
जब मैं माइक म्यूट कर दूंगी तो मैं बोलूंगी कैसे? ठीक है, जब मैं उस स्क्रीन पे आ जाऊंगी तब आपको बोलना है। ओके,
Yes, ma'am.
आरची तुम्हारे घर से आवाज आ रही है लगता है बहुत। आप दरवाजा बंद कर लो। ठीक है।
Why did the swallow not leave the prince and go to Egypt? Answer: the prince had become blind, as he had made the swallow deliver the sapphire from his eyes to the needy. The prince's kindness touched his heart and made his mind change his mind. He could not leave the prince in that state and decided to live with him forever and gave up its idea of going to Egypt. Though the prince asked him to leave, he did not go and thought of helping the poor with the help of prince.
Okay, Archie, read the one that is visible over there also. And the next one also you'll be answering, okay?
Yes, ma'am. At first, the swallow was willing to go to Egypt just after discharging his duty properly. But when he saw Prince's activities of charity and kindness, he got impressed. Now, on the other hand, now the happy prince had become totally blind due to deeds of charity. In this condition, he could not leave the prince helpless. He left the idea of going to Egypt and decided to serve the prince. What are the precious things mentioned in the story? Why are they precious? Answer: the two precious things mentioned at the end of the story are the London heart and the death bird. They are precious because it was their kindness that they served the people by satisfying their own lives. The happy prince let his ornaments, which were also his glory, be delivered to the ones in need, and the swallow has satisfied his journey for being with the blind prince. The London heart of the happy prince of the dead swallow are the two precious things mentioned in the story. They are precious as they did various deeds of the welfare of people and satisfied their lives of the sake of others. Satisfies their life for the sake of others.
It's almost time. And thank you all of you, those who came prepared with the answers. Next time I'm going to tell those students to take out the answers and you will be speaking. The ones who haven't done for so many days. Okay? So now it's time and I think they've got another class also. So we'll do one thing. We'll quickly do the exercises of this chapter next time. And we will come back to either the Tata Edge or the new chapter of Beehive. Okay? So, Sairam, and take care, children. Bye-bye.
Saira ma'am.
Sarah
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you ma'am.